picked the wrong ship, bub.
Train to the Plastic Underground. Approaching the station. Please stand away from the platform edge. Alright you guys, so I'm using the template that I got from Propway on YouTube. I will put a link here to this video. It's a pretty great little template, super easy and fun to build. So I'm just using some 5mm foam for this, and we are putting together half of the face first. And these couple pieces here, they make up the back of the helmet. So basically what I do is I put both sides together first, and then what I will do is I'll put both halves together after that. I think it makes it a little bit easier. So like always, I'm just using contact cement. I put contact cement on both sides of the foam, let it dry, and then they stick together pretty permanently. So just kind of going down the seam, using my thumb, making sure that that seam is pretty flush when I'm gluing it together. If the less gaps you have, the better, the easier it is to finish. There are ways that you can sand it and fill it with a little bit of like bathroom caulk, that kind of stuff, or like foam clay. But if you can avoid that, it is always easier. So those two pieces glued together to make up half of the helmet, and then they get glued to this like forehead part. Again, just kind of using my thumb to push these together and get that seam looking good. So now you can see with both sides built, I start at the back of the helmet. Just kind of push and tack those into place. And you can kind of use the table as like a flat spot to kind of push that seam together. But I do like half of that, and then I go ahead and I tack the front seam together. So that way, if there's any weird parts of this that like stretch or pull, I know that the front and back are perfectly aligned, so the chances of it kind of getting wonky are pretty low. As you can see, that forehead seam lines up, so that's good, and then the rest of this just kind of gets pushed into place here. And that is it. That is like the full helmet basically built, except for the nose. So the nose is this piece here. I cut these bevels on the inside, cut out these two little V shapes, and put some contact cement in there, so when you fold it, they glue together. Makes this nice curved shape. Also cut a couple 45-degree outward bevels on that nose, so when it gets glued in here, it will retain that shape. Yeah, so there you go. That is kind of like the framework, and it kind of looks like an owl mask or a bird. It kind of looks like Harvey Birdman at this point. So I thought that was pretty funny. So cutting out the rest of these parts here. These are the triangle parts that will go on his nose, on both sides of the nose. Just using some 2mm foam for these, and a straight edge just to make sure that they're cut out pretty straight. And then these parts here, these are 3mm foam, and I'm just cutting all these out first. These are going to be the eyebrows and cheeks. The eyebrows get cut out straight, and then the inside parts of these eyebrows, they get beveled inwards on both sides, so that way when you put them together they make a peak on top. So that's the eyebrow and the bottom cheek. And there's one more part of the cheek, and that's this piece. This is kind of like the inward bevel of the cheek there. So again, using some 5mm foam, now I'm going ahead and I'm tracing the actual ear. And just cutting that out. I was going to do like the eyebrows and stuff first, but I realized that the ear needs to be glued into place first because everything else kind of gets attached to the ear part. So next thing up is the inside of the eye. This is just some 3mm foam here, and it's kind of like a half moon shape, and I'm just gluing it inside the eye just to give the eye a little bit of depth. Kind of recesses the eye inward too a little bit. So then I mark down there where the ear needs to go, and then I can just contact cement that into place. Try to line up that top part of the ear where the eyebrow ridge will be. And then I just glue part of this to the head. I don't glue all of it because you want it to kind of stick out a little bit. This helmet also needs to be heated up with a heat gun, and again kind of formed a little bit too. It's a little bit wonky because of the way it's glued together, but that'll all get fixed with the heat gun. So I go ahead and I glue the eyebrow together. You can see how those bevel cuts in the middle there, you get this peaked eyebrow part, and then you can go ahead and glue that to the part of the ear that you cut out. That gets glued right along that bevel on the ear. And then it gets glued to the base of that eye part. So just kind of pinch and push it into place where you like it. Just kind of force it into place. That's what's nice about foam, is you can just kind of manipulate it the way that you want to, and it'll stick. With contact cement, it'll stick pretty good. So here is the bottom of the cheek part. Gets glued flush to the ear and then to the bottom. And then you kind of got to pull it into place here so it lines up with the side of the nose. And it makes a little bit of a gap there. I feel like Propway's video explained this a little bit better. But basically, like you leave a gap here, like away from the mask, so that this piece that you glue in here just kind of pulls that cheek part away from the face. It gives you this like depth detail part in there. And mine was a little wonky, but I just kind of did my best and got it glued in there, kind of pushed it into shape around the eye to make that like peak. Then I had a little bit of extra there that probably because I cut something wrong or glued something on wrong. I just kind of trimmed it, and it ended up looking fine. So you can see how that cheek piece has that like peak. So then those 2mm triangle pieces we cut out, they go on the side of the nose, just to finish that gap, and also gives you a nice ridge down the middle of the nose where the two different colors are going to be. And I just trimmed off any foam that was extra. These parts go to the back of the ears. They are like a support piece for the ear. Keeps it away from the helmet. Also gives it a little bit of strength to keep it shape. And those just get glued on the ear and on the helmet like that. So yeah, now I'm using the heat gun here and I'm just heating everything up, sealing the foam on top for paint, but also kind of getting it to be the shape that I want, trying to, you know, get everything, the helmet rounded and make the ears straight. Yeah, and then I'm using I'm using a wood burning tool. This is like my little solder iron, but it has a couple different attachments. This is like the spatula attachment type thing. I think it's for wood burning specifically. But I drew on there with pen how I wanted these lines to be, and I'm just tracing them with this edge of the wood burner. And it's melting the foam, and it's adding a little groove, little textured groove in there. This is also very toxic. So I have a mask on, and I have a fan in the window next to me. So yeah, don't breathe this stuff in. If you do this technique, make sure that you're wearing a respirator or you're in a well ventilated area, because you don't want to be breathing in melting foam. It's not great. But yeah, so I just go around and I do all these little details, all these lines from the eyebrows all the way to the back of the helmet, that little curved dome part in the front. Yeah, so then I give it like 3-4 coats of black Plasti Dip, and that is how it looks. And now I go ahead and I start with the yellow. I'm just using this yellow spray paint I have on hand, and just try to give it a good base here with every part that's going to be yellow, which is like the nose, peak, and basically the whole back of the helmet. This nozzle is bad on this spray can, that's why it's coming out all weird, but just kind of power through it, and it kind of ends up being fine. So yeah, just give it a couple coats of yellow, and with some craft acrylic black paint. Now I'm just going through by hand and just brushing all the black on. So you do his ears and those bottom flat pieces and the eyes and side of the nose, and that is pretty much it. That's what's like fun about this mask, is that when there's a lot of work that kind of goes into like the eye and the cheek part, but once you paint it, it's 2 colors, and it's pretty easy. So yeah, it was like super fun to build, and yeah, pretty easy to paint too. Yeah, then make sure you get the inside of the ear too, because you'll see that for sure. And then I put 2 coats of black on, because after the first layer dries, it's a little streaky, and so I just wanted it to be uniform. So I put 2. I usually put 2 coats, 3 coats of everything. So then for the eyes, I have this little bit of white mesh. I got this phone case, so I'm just using the plastic from that. Tracing the eye pattern on there. And I cut that down to shape. And I sand part of it, just to kind of make it a little foggy. This ends up being not visible, so like wearing this, I can't see through it. So this wouldn't work for like a convention or anything, but I thought it would look good for like a display. I'm cleaning off the Sharpie with just a little bit of alcohol. But yeah, I thought this would look good on display. I wanted it to be kind of a foggy plastic, and then I just used a little bit of super glue and glue that mesh right on top of the lens. Yeah, and like again, you probably wouldn't want to do that if you were going to be looking out of these things. You can see through the mesh fine. The mesh is a cool look, but yeah, I don't know how to make the eyes white and visible, like seeing through them. That mesh might be enough, honestly, to hide your eye. I don't know. But I just glued that on the inside. And then I went ahead and I made a second helmet. I used EVA floor mat foam and flipped them upside down to give me that bottom texture of the floor mat for all the yellow parts. And it kind of looks like a basketball texture, but I really like this helmet, and I decided that I wanted to make it different, so I painted the black parts blue to go for his classic blue and yellow uniform. And I really like this helmet. I really like the way this came out.
So there you go, everybody. That is how I made the Wolverine cowl helmet thing. It came out really cool. I'm really happy with this thing. It looks great. And yeah, it's the classic yellow and black style helmet. But I like this one so much that I went ahead and I made a second one. Now on this one, I noticed in a lot of like pictures and stuff that his helmet cowl has this like the texture to it. So I ended up using like EVA foam floor mats, flipping them upside down to get this cool texture that's on the back of the floor mats. And I went ahead and I painted it the classic blue and yellow. And I gotta say, this one might be my favorite. This is pretty cool. This looks pretty great up on the wall. And yeah, pretty fun build, pretty easy to make. And yeah, because the patterns were already made, super easy. So go check out his channel and yeah, give him some support and use his patterns are totally free. So yeah, give him some support over there. This was a great build, great template, easy to put together and fun to make, and didn't take me that long. In fact, it didn't take me that long because I made 2 of them. So if your head is big like me, scale this up 10-20%. And you'll be good. So yeah, so there you go. I'll see you next time when we make something cool.